I think the first thing that has to be said is that the municipalities and the counties calculate the amount to be raised through taxation in different ways. In each of the 12 towns, there is an assessed value put onto the house. And when the cities figure out what their budget is, they divide the assessed values in general and then house by house in particular, and they come up with a figure that the homeowner pays for the reception of city services. That isn't the way the county is allowed to do it by law. The county does not collect its taxes on assessed value. The county collects it on real value, on the actual value of each particular piece of property. And that isn't very easy to do. And actually, we don't do it. The state has a calculation. By monitoring the sales of all property, that would be commercial, industrial, residential, vacant land, and all of that, they monitor that, and then they come up with a number as to what that is. Now, how that reflects in the assessed value to real value, I'm going to use something that will be very simple arithmetic here, and then go in particular into the towns of Hoboken and Weehawken. If you have a house in Weehawken that is worth in its realty value of $500,000, and it is assessed at 40% of its real value, therefore its city assessment is $200,000. But the county has to make an adjustment that will bring it up to the $500,000. And in the case of Weehawken, last year, in 2012, their assessed value was about 51%, 50.95% of the real value. This year, it is 46.75. So the value of their property in Weehawken, their rateable base, went up 4.2%. Now that's great news for Weehawken. That means that new ratables are being added into their city, and that property values are going up at a pretty rapid rate. Where you pay for that is in your county taxes, because you're moving further and further away from the 100% that we have to tax you on. Hoboken, last year, Hoboken was at 31.01%, less than 1/3 of its real value. And it went down this year to 30.93, 0.8%. Hoboken, over the last decade that I've been the county executive, has consistently seen its rateable base rise. A sign again that Hoboken is flourishing, that Hoboken is doing well. Hoboken's rateable base is growing. But it will reflect itself in increased donation to the county taxes. Now, there's a rhyme or reason for this. I didn't make this up. This is the way the 21 counties do it. All 21 counties by law has to do it. So in Essex County, the people in Caldwell will complain that they're paying very high county taxes, not receiving the full benefit back to them as far as county services. Newark is. So Newark is, they complain that Newark gets the services, they pay the bills. If you're in Camden County, Cherry Hill doesn't like paying the bills for Camden. Every one of the 21 counties have similar, if not as dramatic, types of problems where the richer towns are asked to pay more than the poorer towns. For instance, this year, despite the fact of the levy going up, and that hasn't been finalized yet, we'll wait for the freeholders to decide where that's going to go. Union City, even with the increase in the levy, their rateable base is shrinking, not growing. So they are going to receive a tax break. I don't know if I can make it any clearer than that, other than we have no control over it. We calculated ourselves when we were doing some mathematical calculations with the staff earlier in preparing for this, that 75 cents on the dollar of the increases, particularly for Weehawken, is tied into The increase, not in the levy, not in county services, but in the formula that is used. Now, should you change the formula? I think you'll get some opposition if you try to do that, because the poorer towns, Jersey City, Union City, Harrison and stuff, are not going to want to pay more there. But it isn't anything that the Freeholder Board can vote on. It isn't anything that I can dictate. You're talking state legislation that would have to change it for Hudson County and the other 20 counties in the state of New Jersey.
To G's for being here, and members of his administration, and Chairman Romano, and all of the freeholders. Welcome to Hoboken, and really, truly appreciate you coming and having a hearing here. And I want to say up front that yes, we have, I feel that I have a very good relationship with the county. You have always been there for us. You were there for us. Tremendous support during Hurricane Sandy. You help us with, with plowing our roads and during major snowstorms. You help us every year with St. Patrick's Day, which has now become Leprechaun Day. I mean, it's a long list. We're very excited about 1600 Park and the traffic signal that's gone in, and other traffic signals that are going in that are going to help alleviate the traffic in Hoboken. We recognize you're there for Hoboken, and I'm confident that, as I continue to ask for help for Hoboken, that help will be there. But our concern and our challenge, I mean, as you all know, Hoboken was very hard hit by Hurricane Sandy. We were hard hit by Hurricane Irene. We continue to be hit. In fact, I was upstairs. I was late because I was doing a reverse 911 call because we're unfortunately probably going to be flooded tomorrow. So we are, Hoboken residents are suffering. I mean, we are doing well. I mean, we've had increasing ratables and there's interest in Hoboken, but at the same time, Hoboken residents, about 80% of our city was flooded. The way the National Flood Insurance works, they're not getting the coverage. They're paying out of their pocket for these costs, and they're coming, again and again. And I'm saying that, we're struggling, and so we're asking the county to really just roll up your sleeves and take a good hard look. You have almost a $500 million budget, and we're asking you to see, can you save? Can you find $5 million in cuts? And I understand that there's issues with the way the formula works, but the reality is, while the city's, Hoboken's budget has gone down about 10% over the last 4 years, the county's budget has gone up by about 20%. We've had 4 or 5% increases every year, and so we're just asking you to think about, the challenges that Hoboken has faced, how difficult it has been, and right now with this proposed budget, we're looking at a 10% increase for Hoboken residents, and given everything that we've been through, we're just asking you to try as hard as you can to see if you can find $5 million in cuts, one way or another. So thank you very much, and I'll just turn it over to Mayor Turner to say a few things.
Thanks, Mayor Zimmer. Thank you.
Mayor Zimmer said the county executive has been very helpful in this. The finance department we've met with has been very helpful. You had the hearing in Secaucus last night. I thought it went great. It was very informative. But there's a general consensus developing amongst the mayors. We're all getting hit from different directions: municipal budgets, school budgets, county budget. This year, it's the problem with the formula, and the formula should be looked at. And we're going to work with the county tax board administrator and our own assessors to see if the formula should be adjusted. It's been in effect for 50 years without change. We think a few sales skew the formula, and then you get, it's like Russian roulette. Every year you go in. This year was Weehawken, Hoboken, and Secaucus. Next year it could be Bayonne, North Bergen, Hoboken again. Hoboken seems to get hit every year. We understand that there's a lot of good news in this, but there's also a lot of bad news. To back up what the county executive said, nobody wants a phony budget, but we do think there's some trimming that can take place. We've talked to other finance people. They think there's perhaps around $1 million in the budget that could be trimmed relatively painlessly. We've also talked about a hiring freeze for between now and December. Unless it's a critical position, put a hiring freeze in place. They believe that there could be some savings there. That would be in the neighborhood of $2 million by itself. And then, we don't know, you got a very complicated budget. You have a very tough time. There's nobody in this room that fully can appreciate how much you all go through every year putting together a budget. And as the county executive said, we do appreciate the services we get. But we can't make a divide between the rich towns and the poorer towns, because again, this formula, you never know. Guttenberg went up one year, Guttenberg went down. I was the highest ratio, as the county executive pointed out. They all of a sudden I dropped 6 points. That's based on a relatively small number of sales. So these things should be looked at. We also would like to, we had no Hudson Mayor's meeting today on other issues, but it came up, we'd like to work with the county executive on coming up with ideas to help streamline government. Perhaps some people throw out different ideas, and then work with the Freeholder board. So I think it's just a sign of the times. It's not going to get, if we come out of this recession, we have some development taking place, tax abatements come in, everything comes in, everybody's trying to figure out how to avoid county taxes. And I think if we sit down collectively, we would come up with a lot of ideas and work with the county executive, work with the Freeholder board. But the first things we would recommend is trimming. We're talking trimming, we're not talking cutting. And I got a call from a union leader last night. No one is talking about dealing with personnel. No one's, apparently there's a thought out there that we wanted to rescind their raise. Nobody wants to rescind their raise. Nobody's talking about furloughs. Nobody's talking about promotions or layoffs or anything. But we do think there's some room to trim. And there's a lot of mayors that have not asked for these hearings that are asking us to, kind of take the lead because they've got other issues to deal with. So we appreciate all the efforts. Your hearings are very informative, and we look forward to a very successful outcome. And again, I want to thank everybody, especially the finance department. They've been very helpful. They don't say yes a lot, but they've been very helpful.